Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Indie Zone. My name is Kathy. As you are aware, if you have been following the Idaho versus Koberger case, you recognize that there are many documents that were filed under seal during the pendency, during the time that the case was active, for the 2.5 years that it was, up to and including July 23rd, 2025, when it was deemed closed. And Mr. Koberger was sentenced and was transferred from the Ada County Jail, where he had been from the time of the change of venue order that occurred in September of 2024, when the venue for the matter of Idaho versus Koberger was changed from Latah to Ada County. On the 23rd of July, 2025, when this case was closed, Mr. Koberger was transferred to the Idaho Maximum Security Prison located just outside of Boise. However, the matter of the what I have called virtual Mount Everest of documents that were filed under seal, court orders entered declaring that they were to be filed and to be maintained under seal, meaning not disclosed to the public, still remained under seal at the time of Mr. Koberger's sentencing, the closure of the case, and indeed up to today, September 1st, 2025. One of the documents that were filed under seal by both sides were their respective witness lists for what I have referred to the trial that never happened in Idaho versus Koberger. Trial was canceled at the time that Mr. Koberger entered his plea of guilty 2 months ago tomorrow, July 2nd, 2025. However, the documents that have been released by the Idaho State Police that's available for you to review completely for free. These are public documents. I encourage you to review them. They are there for you to consider, to digest, and to review. One document provides a glimpse into what was going on behind the scenes, at least as of June 4th, 2025, when both sides were actively preparing for trial. The document that I would like to call to your attention at this time is entitled Witness List Follow-Up, and this was prepared by Detective Ryan O'Hara of the Idaho State Police. It is document number 0205. And it states here under the summary narrative, on June 3rd to the 5th, 2025, Idaho State Police ISP Detective Ryan O'Hara contacted multiple subjects by telephone who had been identified as witnesses by defense counsel for the upcoming trial of Brian Koberger. Koberger has been charged in the unalivings of Kaylee, Madison, Xana, and Ethan. And under the next section, suspect, you see here some details regarding Mr. Koberger, that he was aged 30 at that time, born in 1994, his height, his weight. If we go to the narrative section, we will now learn some details regarding the multiple subjects, i.e. people, i.e. witnesses, that Detective O'Hara of the ISP contacted. It states here under narrative, on June 3rd through the 5th, 2025, I contacted multiple subjects by phone who had been identified as witnesses by defense counsel for the upcoming trial of Koberger. The details of the conversations with each of the subjects contacted are summarized below. Paragraph 1A, name redacted. She had been subpoenaed by defense counsel for the preliminary hearing and received a subpoena in March 2025. She was interviewed by the defense counsel before the preliminary hearing, but hasn't been in contact with them since. She provided a list of questions asked by the defense counsel via email. The email is attached to this supplemental report as an e-file. B, name redacted. He had received a subpoena for the preliminary hearing and was notified by his former fraternity brothers that law enforcement had recently attempted to serve a subpoena at his former address. He has not had any contact with defense counsel for Kohberger. Paragraph C, name redacted. She has not received a subpoena or had any contact with defense counsel for Kohberger. Going on to the next page, page number 2 of 2. Paragraph D, name redacted. I placed calls to 3 phone numbers associated with blank on June 3rd, 4th, and 5th. I left voicemails at the numbers most likely to be his, and I have received no response. Next paragraph E, name redacted. She has received a subpoena from the defense counsel for Kohberger. She has had no contact with defense counsel but believes they have attempted to call her. She has not called them back. F, name redacted. I contacted blank on June 5th, 2025 and arranged for her to meet with Moscow Police Detective Fox at the Moscow Police Department. Detective Fox advised that she had not received a subpoena or had been in contact with the defense counsel. And then finally, paragraph G, name redacted, blank also advised Detective Fox that her husband, blank, had not received a subpoena or been in contact with the defense. Paragraph number 2. I attached my notes as an e-file, nothing further at this time, and this concludes this report written by Detective O'Hara. A few comments here, ladies and gentlemen. As it relates to paragraphs F and G, it appears that this is a husband and wife that were thought to have been witnesses at the trial, and you can read here what happened, what Detective Fox was told relative to their respective subpoenas. The preliminary hearing that's been addressed a couple of times here. This was a proceeding that was supposed to be before Megan E. Marshall, who was the presiding jurist at that time. However, once the Latah County grand jury in a secret proceeding met and returned a form, an indictment, charging Mr. Kohberger with the 5 criminal counts that he was charged with by operation of the indictment, the preliminary hearing was canceled. The matter was then referred to District Court Judge John E. Judge. So if we look at A, 1A, page 1, this witness appears to be a little bit different than the rest because she was interviewed by defense counsel, as it says here, before the preliminary hearing, and also provided a list of questions that were asked of her via email. Those questions and the other information that Detective O'Hara is referring to here as being attachments are not attached, unfortunately, to this report. If you have any comments, any feedback, any thoughts, any opinions that you would like to share relative to this matter, please do so here. Until next time, this is Kathy. Thank you for joining us here today.